She didn't deserve you at your lowest.
Mm-hmm.
Why does she deserve you at your greatest? I feel like a lot of guys kind of think that way.
Right.
But I feel like it's also a cop-out to not grow the fuck up.
Mm-hmm. Period. Yeah. Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, and I think a lot of guys have issues with commitment, right? And that can derive from X number of things. You know, could make a list probably longer than Santa Claus list about why. But yeah, I feel like guys in general struggle with commitment until they really feel, and I feel like a part of that is also like emotion. You know, a lot of guys aren't in tune with their emotion. I'm a Cancer, born in July, so I'm very emotional. I have to be, you know, and it's a learning process. But and I think guys are also kind of afraid to show emotion. You know, like
Why?
I make a joke, and it's a joke, but not a joke. Whenever I feel like I'm about to cry, I try so hard to make myself not to cry. But when I actually do it, I'm like, did I just orgasm? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I'm like, that felt so good.
Yeah.
Between you and I, one of my guilty pleasures recently has been watching like emotional America's Got Talent videos and like occasionally like tearing up a couple times. And I'm like, God damn, that felt great. It felt so good.
Hey, welcome back to That's What He Said. I'm your host, Natalie, and this is a podcast about dating. Before you watch, make sure you subscribe, follow, like, comment, rate, review, and share the show. Let's find out what he said.
Davies?
Natalie
Welcome
Vaughn, hi. Thanks for having me.
I would say welcome to That's What He Said, but you've been here before.
I am. I'm a seasoned vet at this point.
Yes, you were on The Great Debate. Like, just went in raw dogged first time on a debate.
Just there to provide comedic relief, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And you were actually pulled from the bench. But I'm glad because you were the all-star, to be honest.
To quote the songbird of our generation, Aubrey Drake Graham, bench players talking like starters. I hate it.
There's going to be a lot of that, the wit, the one-liners.
Yeah, I get to be funny all by myself. This is nice.
Sometimes I don't even know what you're talking about,
I know.
but it just feels funny.
It's a mix of hieroglyphics and Braille, a little bit of English. So,
Higher what?
Hieroglyphics.
What is that?
Like Egyptian language.
Don't know it.
Yeah, Google.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
That's where it's at now.
Microsoft Copilot.
Dude, ChatGPT and I, we've been like vibing.
Yeah.
We had a whole convo today. Actually, it was about Prozac. I had some questions for her.
Love it.
So, you have quite the life story.
A little bit.
So, we're going to talk about it.
Alrighty.
And then our topic question today is, can I change him? Which I'm already like, I was triggered like writing the outline because it's like, I'm a fixer. So this topic is like, I don't understand it. Like I need some help.
Yeah.
So this is really just a conversation.
Hopefully I can
for me.
provide some insight and value. We'll see.
Okay, tell us your story. Tell us about you.
So Matt Davies. I went to the University of Houston, marketing and sales.
Cougs.
Obviously my personality meant for sales. I love to talk, but I also love to listen. It's a big part of it. My story. Where to start?
Katy, Texas.
Katy, Texas.
Good old.
You know, a different environment. I live vicariously through Drake quotes. Born and raised in Katy. I am an odd Southerner. I've played competitive ice hockey my whole life. Still play 3 to 5 times a week. So love doing that.
Very unique sport.
Yeah. It's let's just say I feel like I'm in my 30s now. I can feel it a little bit more. A lot of baths, a lot of Epsom salt.
Dude, I had the hookup for you on peptides.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. It'll
Perfect.
change your life.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, my story, I mean, I've been through a lot of loss in my life. I lost my mom when I was 14 years old. Lost my best friend I'd say within 17 months of that. So started off, you know, kind of junior high with a lot of loss. Lost a lot of friends throughout my life, you know, overdose, car accidents, you kind of name it. And then also my dad passed away in 2018 as well. So I make jokes that I'm an orphan.
Were you an only child?
Somewhat. So I'm either a miracle or a mistake,
Okay.
depending on your viewpoint on that. I have siblings that are 30 plus years older than me
Okay.
from my dad's side.
Gotcha.
So my half brother is 62 and my half
Damn.
sister is about to be 64 in March.
Yeah.
And I've been an uncle since I was born because 2 of my nephews are older than me.
That's crazy.
So kind of a unique family dynamic, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Well, let's start with your relationship history. So you're now dating Joanna,
I am.
who I'm obsessed with.
Join the club. Join the club.
So tell us like your relationship history from the past to now. What was the trend? How'd you get to where you are?
Yeah. So I honestly haven't been in many relationships. I'll call a spade here. I've been called in the past the gay best friend who's not gay.
Aww.
I probably have as many girlfriends as I do guy friends. So a lot of my upbringing, I would say I was put in the friend zone a lot. My last relationship, some may know, some may not, but I was married. Was more of a circumstantial marriage, if you will.
Yeah.
She was from
Did we talk about this on the debate?
a little bit, I think
we did a little bit,
yeah. So we went to college together. She moved to London for a job. And when my dad passed away, I needed support, emotionally, physically, of course. And, her being a foreign citizen, she could only be in the country for a certain amount of time. So I was in love. I needed support. And wanted to give our relationship a shot. So we just got married to give that a chance.
How old were you at that time?
Let's see. So we started dating in 2018. So it would have been 23, 24.
Yeah.
And so we did long distance from Houston to London for a year and a half.
Damn.
I went across the pond once. She came here once. I was actually there during Hurricane Harvey.
Nice.
So I got stuck
Yeah.
in London for an additional 2 weeks, which
Very nice.
wasn't complaining there.
Yeah,
Told me I
we definitely didn't want to be here.
Yeah, they said I could go to Dallas, and I was like, no, I think I'll just stay in Europe.
Yeah.
So that was an
How
experience.
unfortunate.
Just go to the pub every day at the time and talk people's ears off.
I was stuck in my apartment for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because everything around me was flooded. So I literally couldn't go anywhere unless I was going to get in a boat.
Yeah. Quick sidebar. My dad called me while I was in London. I could tell he had a few Crown Royals in the system, and he was like, "Your sister's gone," and I'm thinking, Dana, like my half sister, and my dog passed away during Hurricane Harvey.
Oh.
So he was talking about our dog, but he had called me and just no context, your sister's gone, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anywho, so we were married for a little over. So backtrack. So we actually started dating in 2017 or 2016. We got married in 2018.
Okay.
And then we officially divorced in 2021, although our relationship was kind of coming to an end more in 2020. We lived together, and then things weren't working out, so she got a separate place. And then we kind of, figured things out for about a year.
Yeah.
But still friends to this day. She lives back in Switzerland, so that's my one big relationship in life.
There was the Mod Pizza girl.
That's her.
Oh.
That's her.
Wait, that is her.
That is her. Yes.
Damn. She really said she wanted a divorce. at
$30
Mod.
richer though after that Venmo. So.
Yeah, if you want to know what we're talking about, you have to go back and watch The Great Debate. I think it was episode 28 because it all rhymes. 28, The Great Debate. And hear about the Mod Pizza breakup and then getting reimbursed for that.
Westheimer and the Beltway.
Yeah.
We'll never go to that one again. I'm pretty sure I haven't been to one since.
Damn.
Don't know if I ever will,
So how did you get with Joanna? How did you score such a dime piece?
Yes, the total package. So kind of funny, and this kind of goes into my funny story related to her.
Okay.
So this is actually our, we're officially dating, but this is our third time talking. Third time's the charm, Nat. Third time's the charm.
Dude, don't even with that. There's not one guy that I should be going back to for a second time.
I'm in sales. I'm persistent. What can I say? We knew each other in high school. Obviously, she knew me. That was kind of a big deal. Told you before this. I peaked in high school, so
Yeah.
trying to get back to that, but
I haven't peaked yet.
yeah, I'll show you a thing or two. It's a gradual process. So that's kind of how we got acquainted. We started talking in 2022. Went on a date at Ross Sushi in
Nice.
City Center.
Old Faithful.
Things kind of fizzled out after that, and I think part of why we'll get into of a man making change, right? And then in 2023 we tried again. We went to.
How did the trying again happen? Did you reach out to her? Did she reach out to you?
Probably. I'm a little puppy dog. Probably.
You were back in the DMs.
Yeah, I think probably so. If I were to guess.
Okay.
So went on a date, and this is part of the funny story. I do not like wasting food. I'm a big leftover guy.
Okay.
Obviously, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so we left the restaurant, and I can't remember the place, but it was during restaurant week, and I ordered a Wagyu steak. Conversations were great, so didn't really focus on eating my food, so I had like a good chunk, basically the whole steak, and I was like, well, I'm going to take this home. I forgot the leftovers.
Of course.
A Wagyu steak, keep in mind.
Sure.
And I was like, we're on the way, I think we were going to have drinks after that, and I was like, how tacky would it be if I'm like, we need to go back and get my leftovers? Like, it's like a $75 steak. Well, I'm looking on the GPS driving to where we were going to have drinks at, and I look and the place is closed because we were there pretty late. And I was like, damn. I gotta take the L here. So to this day, I make jokes off and on to her. I'm like,
you didn't try to go back?
no, I couldn't. My pride, I couldn't do it.
Somebody probably ate it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I joke with her. I'm like, had it not worked out this time? Like, I should have sent you a Venmo request.
Damn, for the steak?
Joking, of course. Kinda for the steak. But this time around, I was actually, so this was back in March of 2024.
Okay.
I was in bed, and her and Kelly were at the Zach Brown band concert, and we're like, hey, like Kelly
Rodeo?
texted me. Yeah.
Okay. Kelly
Kelly texted me and was like, hey, I have an extra ticket if you want to come. I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, I'll come. Even though I was butt naked in bed at the time. Got dressed, went, kind of hit it off from there. I think we were actually all three sitting next to each other listening to one of the songs, and I like texted her while we were next to each other, and I was like, hey. And then it just kind of went from there. And
That's
then,
cute.
yeah, I have my moments. Small moments of brilliance lead to success. And then started, kind of texting again, and went on our third first date to Ku Sushi, right there at Gessner and I-10.
Yes.
Delicious.
Yeah,
if
it
you
is
have not
delicious.
been.
I have been.
The only caveat, if you go on a date there, just know they play like
Loud music.
very romantic music, like almost like music
Oh.
you would think you'd hear like when someone's walking down the aisle at a wedding.
Oh, wow, okay.
So if you're going with like a friend,
I've only been at like happy hours, so I think it was more
if you
chill.
go with a friend, it's like could be a little awkward.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like in the past, I've gone with like girls I'm friends with, and like their husbands have called and been like, where are you? Like, what's going on? Like,
But the sushi's great.
sushi is great.
Yeah. Did you know that do you know why they give you ginger on your plate with sushi?
Digestion?
Yes, but ginger kills parasites, and sushi typically has parasites in it.
Right.
So always eat your ginger, unless you want, tapeworms growing inside of you.
Yeah.
Did you know that, according to the experts, you should be pooping 1 to 3 times a day for optimal health? Anything less than that is considered chronic constipation. This is why you look bloated all the time or have that stubborn pudge below your belly button that never seems to flatten. Hot girls have tummy issues, am I right? There are so many natural solutions to poor digestion and gut imbalances, like a good probiotic, which I personally take every single day, a clean whole foods diet, and my personal favorite, doTERRA's Digest Zen Essential Oil Blend. I am an absolute slut for doTERRA's essential oils, which are the purest on the market, and I've been using for years. I use them literally every single day, and I won't travel without them. Their blends, like Digest Zen, are curated for a specific symptom, in this case, constipation. I apply 2 drops to my belly right where my colon and intestines are in a circular motion every night before bed. Like clockwork, every morning within an hour of waking, I have a nice, smooth, large, healthy-looking bowel movement. Boys, I know some of you like to think girls don't poop, but we do. And we should all do it more often. So head to my doTERRA link in the episode description to order the Digest Zen Blend ASAP and get 25% off for an entire year. That link is my.doterra.com/TWHS. And again, it will be linked in the episode description. Thank me later.
But kind of in closing, so went on the first date, and fun fact, we had never hooked up before. We actually were each other's New Year's kiss in like 2022.
Cute.
Just a peck.
Love that.
Gotta ease them in slowly, you know. But yeah, you know, things gradually progressed from there. Transparently, and we talked about this, like I was kind of going back and forth mentally as we had the talk, like, hey, like we want to be exclusive, and I transparently, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, and keep in mind, I didn't really have my shit together the first 2 times we talked.
Yeah.
But my pride kind of internally was like, well, you didn't want me at my lowest, why do you deserve me at my greatest? But I put my pride to the side. And part of me just was kind of wanted to be selfish and be single.
Yeah.
You know,
You were kind of like, I finally got my together.
Right. You know,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, it's like I have a clear mind. You know, I've lost, since being sober, I've lost about 40 to 50 pounds. Obviously, I have this gorgeous mustache now.
Yeah, the molestache.
New hair, you know, new hair, who dis. But yeah, just thought long and hard about it, and you know, ultimately decided that I wanted her to be my girlfriend. So, made it official on August 1st of 2024.
Love that.
Transparently, I did it on the 1st so I could remember the date. Gentlemen, there's some strategy for you, but also it was National Girlfriend Day, so I thought that would be
very cute.
That would be cute. So
you're very calculated, like in a cute way.
Math's my best subject, Nat.
Really?
So that's why I'm calculated. But yeah, no, it is. It is. Good with numbers. But yeah, I got her flowers, a Diet Coke, some Hershey's Kisses, had a nice card, and then when she read the card, she turned around and started crying. And I had a ring pop, and her favorite color is green. I had a green ring pop, and I was on one knee and was like, will you be my girlfriend?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, and then here we are, just celebrated our 6 official months.
No one does that.
Yeah.
That
one
is
of one.
I mean, truly, because nowadays you can't hardly even get a guy to say that he wants to be exclusive. Like, just to much less ask you, hey, do you want to be my girlfriend?
Right.
Much less make a grand gesture that's funny and cute.
Yep.
So.
Most guys are little puppy dogs these days. You know? I was a puppy dog at one point in my life. So.
Okay, so I want to go back to she didn't deserve you at your lowest. Why did she deserve you at your greatest? I feel like a lot of guys kind of think that way.
Right.
But I feel like it's also a cop-out to not grow the up.
Period. Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, and I think a lot of guys have issues with commitment, right? And that can derive from X number of things, you know, could make a list probably longer than Santa Claus lists about why. But yeah, I feel like guys in general struggle with commitment until they really feel, and I feel like a part of that is also like emotion, you know. A lot of guys aren't in tune with their emotion. I'm a Cancer born in July, so I'm very emotional. I have to be, you know, and it's a learning process, but and I think guys are also kind of afraid to show emotion, you know? Like
Why?
I make a joke, and it's a joke but not a joke. Whenever I feel like I'm about to cry, I try so hard to make myself not to cry. But when I actually do it, I'm like, did I just orgasm? Like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm like, that felt
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Between you and I, one of my guilty pleasures recently has been watching like emotional America's Got Talent videos and like occasionally like tearing up a couple times, and I'm like, God, that felt great. It felt so good.
I mean,
you know?
it's true. Like when you cry, like you release a bunch of like endorphins.
Yep.
So it is kind of orgasm-y.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt.
Why are guys afraid to show their emotions?
I think pride's a big part of it. I feel like there's the stigma of I'm a man, I have to be strong-willed. I think that's part of it. I think part of it could derive maybe of like their upbringing, like their dad, you know, or mom, but probably more than likely dad taught them to be strong and not show emotion. And I think that also kind of derives from like the old school mentality of things, you know?
Yeah.
Like the old school, like my dad, love him to death, but he didn't really show a lot of emotion, you know? I mean, like with me one-on-one, like in terms of like loving and caring, yeah, but like you'd ask him how he's feeling and one word answer probably would be the response. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
why are you good, you know?
Yeah.
So
Pride is a big thing for guys, which really like goes right into our topic. But before we jump into it, what made you decide to change? You were very different than you are now. Clearly, there was something about you that Joanna was not accepting of. So tell that story.
well, I think that ties into the sobriety piece, right?
Yeah.
So alcoholism runs in my family. My mom was a non-functioning alcoholic. My dad was a functioning alcoholic. So it's in the blood.
On both
And
sides.
yeah, and my mom's mom was an alcoholic. So generations deep of it. And I wouldn't say that I drink every day. Like during the week, I would have like beers with the guys, watch football. But on the weekends, you know how guys are when we get together, we overindulge, and I
Yeah.
would just, you know, drink from, you know, if we went pre-gamed at 9 p.m., start drinking then, be up till, you know, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, still drinking.
Man.
But part of the change, and I think, what's the best way to word this? Obviously, the ultimate, like me making the change derived from within me, but a lot of people that love and care about me over the years on multiple occasions expressed like, hey, like, you need to make changes in your life. And it got to a point with some of my loved ones where it was like, you have to make this change, or like, yeah, we've been friends 15, 20 years, but like, I can't have you in my life anymore. So that obviously was a wake-up call for me.
Did they ever like specify why? Like, was it how much you were drinking? Was it like Matt's never even sober around me? Was it like the way you acted when you were drunk?
Big part of it was the way I acted when I was drunk. And through self-reflection, I realized this. But the loss that I went through young in life and, you know, back in 2018, I'm a very nice person, obviously. I have a lot of
Yeah.
friends, very caring. And I would get kind of ugly. I would get kind of mean when I would
Yeah.
get really, really drunk. And which is polar opposite of how I am as a person. And I realized through self-reflection that what I think I was doing in hindsight was trying to make people feel how I was feeling inside through what I'd been through.
Damn.
Yeah, it's kind of deep, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Which
realized.
would have been what, like angry or like?
Yeah, just like I always going through what I've been through at the age that I am is kind of a double-edged sword, because I feel like when my loved ones go through loss, like I know what it's like, right? So I'll be there as a resource, but I just felt like no one understood how I felt.
Yeah.
And I think because I felt that way, like it's kind of f***ed up, but like it's like I almost want other people to like feel this so they know kind of, so I guess more so like I didn't feel alone in a way.
It's almost kind of like a misery loves company kind
Right.
of thing.
Right.
Like you subconsciously, because you felt alone, you wanted to make other people feel as miserable as you
Yep,
did.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then another big part of it, and I'll be vague about this, but you can interpret as you will. In 2023, I got in trouble. I'll just leave it at that. Got in
Okay.
trouble involving drinking. And so that was part of the wake-up call. But a big part of it was August of 2023. I was actually in Nashville for a guy's fantasy football trip. The 2 weekends before that, I had a buddy's wedding, my best friend's 30th birthday, and then that. So bender.
Right.
And started kind of acting a fool while in Nashville with my buddies, and some of them who had expressed it before, right? Were basically like, hey, like, this has got to stop, or like, we can't be friends with you anymore. So that was part of the wake-up call. And then when actually when I was supposed to leave Nashville, I was supposed to be at like 6 a.m. on the Sunday.
Of course.
I was up until like 4 and was like, there's no way I'm making a flight. So I paid like $200 to move my flight to like 10 p.m. Was in Nashville by myself, meeting random people, drinking. And when I was at the airport, I was having dinner, drinking a old fashioned. And me being myself, I talked to anybody. Could talk to a wall with paint drying on it, for God's sakes. Met this guy who was actually flying to Houston to do training to open a Little Caesars pizza.
Okay.
And he and I had this super deep talk about life, drinking. He was coming from a corporate environment and making this change, and I was curious as to why. Turns out his wife had cancer, and so he was doing this to try to be more self-sufficient and be able, I think maybe he was capped monetarily in the corporate world. And it just kind of just hit me in a vein. And literally that next day was the first day I stopped drinking, smoking,
Wow.
Anything drug related. So
That's crazy.
yeah, August 21st, 2023 was my last drink.
Wow. Congrats.
Thank you. Just hit a year and a half a few days ago.
Side note, but when you're out and about, like, do people ever, I guess it depends on who you're with, but does it bother you when people ask you, why aren't you drinking?
Not necessarily. I'm a pretty open book. I'm not scared to.
What's your response usually?
I just made a lifestyle change, and I don't partake anymore. But also, like, with my personality, I can still go out and have a Heineken Zero.
Yeah.
69 calories, by the way. Good marketing they did there for us that have childish minds. But yeah, and it's like, for me, drinking a non-alcoholic beer, if I can have the taste of beer, less calories, and not act like a dumbass,
Hey.
that's a win-win, not for just for me, but for everybody. So yeah.
Yeah, I asked that because I don't drink a ton anymore. Like, I would say, like, at least half of the time that I'm out socializing, I'm not drinking, whether people know it or not.
Right.
Like, sometimes I'm having mocktails and don't say anything. Sometimes I drink water, like, or I'll, like, have a couple and then switch to water or whatever. And I do get bothered when people are like, why aren't you drinking? Or they're like, oh, you're not being any fun. Or like, oh, Natalie will have her like one or two. And I'm just like, I'm just like, why are you putting me down for like making the healthier decision out of the two of us? Like, it just bothers me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my pride, but I'm just like, I think it's an inappropriate question.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I've gone to the point where when they say, why aren't you drinking? I just say, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
And they usually are like,
what is this,
like,
21 questions?
But like, it's like saying like, why are you taking a piss? Because that's what I need to do.
Because I have to pee. I just drank water. Well, you got to think about it though, like where we grew up. Like we started partying in high school.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's
true.
like the stigma around that, and I mean, like people our age, like, and to your point, I think a lot of people are drinking less and less. Like a lot of people I'm friends with don't find it as amusing as we once did.
Yeah. Probably does have to do with starting so young.
Yeah,
Also.
agreed. And it's like I go out and I'm like, even if I was drinking and had like a drink or two, like this isn't really fun. You know, it's like a lot of the times when you go out, yeah, you're with some of the people you're friends with, but usually there's ends up being like Houston's so big. There's so many mutual friend groups, and it's like I'm getting up till like 3 a.m. with people like I don't even really know or care about, like, you know, on a continuous basis. So
yeah, I don't know. I was just curious because I just think like no one's asking you why you are drinking. If someone orders a tequila shot for themselves, I'm not going to be like, why are you taking a tequila shot? Like that would make them mad, you know? So why ask me that? Like,
well, I think the bartenders in the Heights knew when I stopped drinking, because I was notorious for not only buying everybody shots, but buying bartender shots. And it's like, they could get the shots for free. Why the hell am I buying them a shot? Like, you're an idiot.
So true.
You're an idiot.
What a waste.
And funny also, side note, I used to live in the Memorial area, like near Memorial City Mall, and I used to go to the Kirby Ice House there a lot. And the first time I went in after being sober, the bartender was like, Yangling Flight and a Vegas Bomb sugar-free Red Bull. And I was like, God, I come here too often. But I was like, no, I'll take a Heineken Zero.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never looked back.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so you were saying there were people in your life, loved ones, who were essentially giving you an ultimatum, it sounds like they weren't going to cut you off if you didn't change. So how, like, do you think that was part of the reason you decided to change, or do you feel like you would have decided on your own anyways?
I think that was a big part of it. I care a lot about my loved ones. Like, I love deeply, whether that's my friends, my relationship. Love you. Love you, babe. And, you know, if you're in my inner circle, like, your opinion is super valid to me, right? So, and I think it was people like that I consider like my brothers and my sisters. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, because she'll be like, if I didn't, why didn't you? But Kelsey, who was on the podcast,
Kelsey Snyder,
she basically gave me an ultimatum and was like I just don't think we should talk for a while. So her and I didn't talk for like, and we've been friends since we were 14, 15 years old. She was like, I'm done with you. Like, you need to figure it the f- out. So we didn't talk for like probably at least 3 months, if not like closer to 6. And then kind of reconvened, and friendship's stronger than ever.
Was this part of the reason that it didn't work out with Joanna time 1 and time 2?
I would say part of it. You know, I think she mentioned it on the reel that she did, right?
Yeah.
One of her biggest, I guess, pet peeve, if you will, is like a guy who doesn't care about himself. And it's like, if I'm going out drinking all the time and not bettering myself, I mean, yeah, I've always done well professionally, but if I'm not developing myself personally, I don't blame her. Why would she have wanted to be with me?
Yeah, it's
you know?
unattractive. Would you have felt differently if y'all had started dating and then she was trying to tell you to get sober versus her just like turning you down essentially, and then once you were sober, accepting you?
It's hard to say because obviously we weren't like official then, right? So I don't know how I would have reacted per se, but what's the saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Facts.
Your loved ones can tell you X, Y, Z, but until you look within and ultimately like, I have to make a change, you're not going to make the change, you know? But I would say, like, I guess the question, would I have reacted differently? Probably, because I wasn't sober and I wasn't in my right mind. I probably would have gotten pissed off and been
Yeah.
like, why do you want to change me? Like, everyone loves me. I'm hilarious. I'm handsome. I've got this beautiful mustache. Like, why the f- should I change for you, you know?
Yeah.
But I think obviously my depiction now is different just because I'm in a right mind and right heart, you know, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
but I probably would have.
So
I probably would
do
have
you
reacted
think
differently.
you probably would have?
Yeah.
So do you think that women can change men? Do you think?
Y'all are powerful individuals, good, bad, or indifferent. I think they can. Obviously, my situation's a little different because I was already in the process of changing leading up to the relationship.
Well, the third time you were.
Yeah, the third time.
Yeah.
So, but I do think women can change men.
How so?
I think it's a gradual process. I'll say this. I think you all can change men, but the man also has to want to change. Like there has to be something within to take that step because again, back to pride, like we don't want to be told what to do, you know, probably because of our upbringing XYZ. But I think it's a tough question.
It's tough.
It's a tough question. You know, I think, can you make a man change is a part of a relationship. And like changing, I mean, however you want to word it, personal growth. Like if you're in a relationship with someone, you should want to continually better yourself personally, professionally, etc. And you know, it depends how you look at it, right? It's is the glass half full, is the glass half empty? Like, is she trying to change me, or is she trying to make our dynamic better so
Right.
it works for the long term?
Right, right. So where is that line in a guy's head? Because I feel like I don't see the line. Like I don't know if I speak for all women when I say that, but I'm like, if I meet someone and I like him, it's hard to distinguish like potential from like character. Or it's hard to distinguish like, oh, I want to change these things about him, or like, oh, these are areas of his life where I will benefit him. Because part of it is like, as women, if you're like an established, like good person, you've worked on yourself, someone like Joanna, like we show up to the table and we know what we're bringing. We
Right.
know how we can better your life.
Right.
But how, like, where is that distinction between like showing up and being like, oh, I want him to change his eating habits, his swearing, and his drinking? You know, how is that different from saying like, oh, well, when I start cooking for him, he'll get a lot healthier and he'll love that. Or, you know, he'll start swearing around me less because I don't like it. And, you know, I don't drink as much, so he'll stop drinking as much.
Right.
Like, you're saying the same thing, but one can sound like, you're just dating him for potential. He'll never actually be that. What? Help.
Help. Well, first you said you can't see the line. Do you have your contacts in? Or do you, or do you need glasses? Maybe LASIK.
I don't do surgery.
Okay. Fair. Well, my initials are MD, so I'm a doctor. It's a tough question. Let me ask this. If you've experienced this in the past, have you, and I guess the talking phase per se has to get to a point, right, where you're about to start dating, but have you expressed to said prospect, like, hey, these are my non-negotiables. Like, this is what I'm looking for in a partner. And obviously they could just say yes, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
a good salesman would. But I'm just curious if you think like you or girls in general are like being blunt and transparent and vulnerable, like asking those questions, or like setting the foundation leading into it, you know? Because if you don't know and you're just going based on like, okay, the potential physical attraction, and then you start dating and then it turns into, you know, a shit show per se because he's not checking those boxes, like could that have been prevented from taking that head on beforehand?
Yeah. I think.
Sorry to answer a question with a question.
No.
But
I mean,
got my brain churning.
I think it depends. I definitely think in the past I did not do that because I didn't know what my non-negotiables were. Some girls may still feel that way. I also think non-negotiables are negotiable. I don't know.
Everything's negotiable.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'll just to keep it easy, like one of my definitely non-negotiables is like has to work out and be in shape. Like I am very open. I like gym guys. Okay, if you don't have strong biceps, you're not gonna do it for me. So okay, but I've dated guys who I'm like immediately like they're bodybuilders. So like they're checkbox. But then there's also guys that are not that are just normal guys who like exercise occasionally. And if I say like, well, it's really important to me that like my boyfriend works out and like lifts weights like that, I want that. And then he starts lifting weights. So then it's like, okay.
He's coachable.
Yeah. So then I don't know. I feel like non-negotiables have to be somewhat negotiable, right?
I think so.
But then, so am I trying to change him by doing that?
Somewhat. I mean, I think it all depends on depiction, like in wording, like changing someone, growing together, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's a double-edged sword. So,
and this can go both ways too.
Right.
Of course, I'm posing it from my perspective, but I'm sure like sometimes guys want to change the girl. I had Paul Boudwin on the other day, and he was like, some guys just want to be Captain Save-A-Ho. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like
Yep.
guys are into that.
Yeah, and some guys like to be like the boss, you know, and in charge, and I guess kind of dominating, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fine line on. But again, I think it just kind of comes down to perspective, like changing the person versus getting to a point where like y'all are always going to have to adapt and conquer if you want to be in it for the long run, you know?
And maybe part of it too is like the way it's received. Because realistically, whether you're trying to help him grow, trying to better his life, or trying to change him, I mean, it's all kind of the same thing, right?
Perspective's reality.
So maybe it comes back to on the receiving end, like the guy's pride. Is he receiving it as, why do you want to change me? Or is he receiving it as, oh, cool, like you're going to help me get in better shape and be healthier because you're going to like hold me, you know, accountable.
Yeah. Well, and I think it also, like, if we kind of go back to like sobriety for me, like it takes, like in sales, in my job, we talk about compelling events, right? It takes a compelling event for you to be that horse being led to water and making yourself drink, you know? It's cliche, but it's true. You know, it takes, someone's not going to change until they ultimately want to, when it comes down to it. I mean, you can tell someone so many times, but until it gets to a point where, like for me, I was going to lose loved ones, you know, potentially my life if I kept probably on the track that I went on. You know, it puts things into perspective, and it's like, got to put the pride to the side, look internally, and like, okay, like I want to better myself for me, my loved ones that aren't here anymore, you know, my future wife, my future kids, my little child Oreo, you know. So
she's not here today.
I know. Rufus is almost as cute though.
Oh.
Almost. Close.
Apples and oranges.
Close. See, perspective, right? Change, growing together. It's all perspective.
Yeah.
It's all perspective.
Do men want women to change them?
I would yes and no. I mean, it's again, it's back to perspective. Like, if you're going to be successful in a relationship and get married, and if you want to have kids, like, you have to be open-minded and you have to be coachable. Like,
Yes,
you have
amen.
you have to be. And
Rewind that.
yeah,
Or play it back.
yeah, and empathy is a huge part of it, right? Putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I'm like truly an empath. Like, I can honestly like feel what other people are feeling. I make a joke that I read body language like a school textbook. Like, I feel what other people feel. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Especially being a Cancer and emotional. But yeah, I mean, I would say like we want change. Change is such a strong word,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's things that we want our partner to voice that if they don't like, that we need to adapt and make a change to, like, not only make me better as a person, but make our dynamic and our relationship better as a whole. That's how it's going to strive, But it depends
that's
on
good.
the wording and the
I
tone
was just
and the
about to
and the
ask
tonality,
that.
though.
So let's say two people come together and both are open-minded and coachable. So you're mature.
Right.
How should women be phrasing those things? Like,
Right.
if I want you to start drinking less, or if I think that you should be a little bit healthier, or like let's take it to something deeper. If I think that you really need to like work through some of your trauma and like seek help for that, how do you phrase those things to a way that's not making a guy say, "Oh, you want to change me," or like off-putting, like it's criticism?
I think communicating it in a way where you're getting your point across in the way that you want to, but also adapting to their personality style a little bit. My personality style is an expressive driver, so like I'm very vocal.
Where did you get this? What test is this from? Expressor driver? That's not big five personality.
No, it's expressive, driver, analytical. One other one. Not Briggs Myers.
I'm gonna look it up. Expressor driver.
Expressive driver. It's expressive, driver, analytical, and there's one other one.
That's it? Like the 4 squares?
Yep, amiable's the other one. Yep.
Okay. I'll have to take this. Okay, so that means more assertive and faster paced.
Yeah, I could see you being an expressive analytical. You're a rare breed, Natalie Vaughn.
That I know.
Breed.
Jeez.
Yeah, you may be expressive
could see
driver or expressive analytical, I would think.
Okay.
Or an analytical driver, since you're a boss.
What does driver mean?
Like a leader, like in like school projects or something, you would like want to take the lead and probably like do most of the work so other people don't f it up.
Oh yeah, that's me for sure.
Yeah, like if you played sports, probably want to take like a leadership role, whether you're a captain, assistant captain.
Okay.
Things like that.
Interesting.
But back to your question.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to how you communicate that. And repeat the question one more time.
Like, just how should we phrase when we want to change something about him?
Yeah. So I think I said a mix of like getting your point across how you want to and communicating effectively, like based on their personality style. Because like for me, I don't deal well like with tone and like yelling. I think that kind of just derives from trauma from my childhood with my mom. But like if you were to come to me and be like, hey, like I need you to change, like I'm probably not going to be receptive to that, right? Whereas if you're like, hey babe, like I feel this way, and like moving forward I'd appreciate if, like for me probably it's like maybe talk to me a little bit like a baby, you don't have to burp me, but like nice even keeled tone, wording it proactively, like hey, like this is something I notice and it bothers me, and I'd appreciate if you could like be more considerate and adapt for me and my feelings and our future. But again, depends on the the individual. But I think personality style is big part of it. Like I'm in sales, right? If someone's super analytical and straight to the point and doesn't want to talk, I'm not going to try to sales pitch
You're
them.
gonna match
They want
that.
to talk about what they want to talk about and then get the hell off the phone.
Yeah.
I'll schedule a follow-up call to talk about how I can, make them more money. But, or if I talk to
makes
someone who's
sense.
more of an open book, like, yeah, I'm going to build rapport. I'm going to get to know their kids. Like,
Right.
get them to open up and then sell them.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Like that's very textbook sales, like matching the personality to, get on their good side, basically, when the moment.
And I think what a lot of people forget, and this is actually fact, 93% of communication is nonverbal. 7% is verbal. So it's body language, reading the room, and it's interesting. Like if you take like the work from home dynamic, right? We're all on Microsoft Teams and Zoom meetings all day, at least I am. Like reading the room is obviously very different than it was pre-COVID, like when you were in person with the customer.
Right.
It's a little more challenging, but
For sure.
yeah,
Okay.
good old technology.
What do you think about like the strict boundary talk, like kind of the way it was before you got sober? Like if I'm talking to someone or dating them, if I say like, hey, if you do this again, or if you don't change this, I can't tolerate you being in my life. Like, is that, what do you think about that? I mean, is that just more so person to person who's going to receive that well?
I think.
Let me be more specific. Let's say a guy did something that I felt was disrespectful. And if I said, hey, instead of the whole like, well, this really hurt my feelings when you did this, and like I don't appreciate it, like, because that can backfire too, and they can basically invalidate your feeling and say,
or be a yes man.
You shouldn't have felt that way. Like I didn't mean it like that, Versus this was disrespectful, and I won't tolerate this kind of behavior. So I can't have people in my life who do X.
So your question.
How do men receive that?
Yeah. So like your question is like, how do we receive wording of one way versus the other?
Yes.
I think, part of it I think is how many times has it been conveyed to the man, right? Because obviously, I mean, if it was the first time, right, and it was maybe worded like the secondary way, like in a more nice, even-keeled tone, would I take it as seriously as like a strong-willed tone? Maybe a little bit less. Like I would think it's more like kind of playful. But again, like if you're understanding the point that person's trying to get across, you should know when it's at a point. Like if that's going to be your partner, like you should be picking up on subtle cues of like, okay, like
she's not playing
she means business. Like I'm about to get stabbed.
I feel like I don't know. I mean, I know how to talk other ways, but like I don't feel like that works.
Yeah,
like,
you're very straight to the point.
Yeah, I don't feel like and maybe that's like from like past it not going well in the past, like trying to express my feelings and it being shut down or invalidated, or like they just don't care.
Yeah, scar tissue. Yeah, it's powerful. Powerful. No, I mean, I think it also kind of depends on like how long you've been talking to the person, because to what we talked about earlier, like having those serious talks about like, hey, like I can't have this or that, like is that something society we really have, those types of conversations in like the talking phase? Not really, you know. But maybe
we probably should
maybe
be.
that should be the new norm, you know, and probably conflict avoided.
There was a guy that I was dating last year, super nice guy, and he was a little bit, I don't want to say he was like put off by it, but it was very like not what he was used to, because I was doing that. And he would like make jokes like, oh, you have so many rules. And I'm like, they're not rules, they're just like standards. But he was just very used to like the fun and games, situationship, talking for a few months, and then it fizzles out and you move on, or you realize like it's not gonna be serious and you move on. But I'm just like, I don't want to do that.
You mean business?
So I'm like, we're either gonna know that we're compatible from the jump or not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think maybe that can be off-putting because then I am very direct about, like, if I see something that needs to be changed, like, I'm going to call it out, you know?
Question, have these men been, like, around our age, older, younger?
Everything. Dude, I have wanted, there's not a single guy that I've dated that I didn't want to change him. Like, but I don't know that that's a bad thing.
Right.
Right? Because there's no perfect person. And if you just, like, live in Delulu land and you think that every guy you meet is perfect and nothing about him should change, like, well, that's not right either.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of got to take a leap of faith and, like, be vulnerable and probably, like, actually start dating that person and, like, give it a chance for a while to, like, be able to get to a point to, like, bring those things up. You know, I feel like a lot of guys, if you probably brought those serious things up, like, in the talking phase, he'd probably be scared of you a little bit, you know?
Why?
Just...
Why is that scary?
He probably would feel less powerful, you know? Like, we as men, we want to feel like the big kahuna, you know? Like macho man. You know? I feel like... But for the right guy, to your point, you probably could have those early on. And he'd be open-minded to it, and then you'd start off great and then just continue to grow together.
Maybe.
But
I'm open to... if I need to change that. Like, I'm very open to that. It wouldn't be easy, but what you just said is very, like, that's very on point. Like, that they then become scared of me. But I'm just like, but I'm just trying to help you.
yeah. You're like, I'm more blunt than a swish of sweet, baby. Get with it.
real.
Get with it or get lost.
So what is, go back to that. Why is that scary to not feel powerful, and why would that make a guy not feel powerful if a girl is pointing out where his weaknesses are, or, like, where he needs to change?
I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but guys have insecurities too. It's not just y'all.
Yeah.
Probably sounded a little sexist there. No, I'm kidding. But no, we have insecurities too. But I think we are less in tune with those insecurities. You know, like, if you're feeling insecure about something, like, you probably go to your close girlfriends and y'all talk about it. We probably don't do that as much. You know, we're like, he's going to think I'm a pussy. Like, you know, if I tell him XYZ about myself. Is it more receptive with my friends that are emotional like me? Yeah. But some of my friends who are not emotional at all react that way. They're like, dude, like, shut up. Like, you know, you're a guy. Figure it out.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think, and it kind of goes back to, like, a premise of several things we talked about. It's pride. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of guys just feel intimidated by, like, a boss woman. But, like, for me, and Joanna and I joke about all the time, who's the boss? I'm the boss.
She's a boss woman.
She is a boss. I'm the boss, apparently. But, like, lately when I'm like, no, you're the boss, she's like, no, you're the boss. I'm like, we're both the boss. Like, but I think ultimately, like, guys don't know what they want until they have it. If that makes sense.
That makes no fucking sense.
No? Does it make sense?
They don't know what they want until they have it.
So, like, talking phase, they could be intimidated by someone who's a boss lady.
Okay.
But once they start dating and, like, realize, like, that she is the boss lady, you're like, ooh, that's kind of hot.
Yeah.
You're like, you get what I'm saying? Like...
Yeah, I guess what you're saying is, like, initially they might think, like, I don't want that.
Right.
But then giving it a chance and, like, oh, wait, this is great.
Yeah. You realize that's something that you want in a partner, you know? Like, I want someone who is transparent with me, good, bad, or indifferent. Obviously, depends on the wording, because I'm a sensitive boy. But, you know, it's like you want someone who's will tell you how it is, will shoot it straight, you know, someone that's, and when we say, you know, like a boss girl or a boss boy, like, you know, put together professionally and obviously, I mean, we're all put together personally to an extent, right? But it's like, it's like we got to all be like a fine wine. We got to get better with time, you know? And am I going to do that by myself? Hell no.
Okay.
I'm good, but I'm not that great.
So you also are aware that Boss Girl is going to help you level up.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want that.
Exactly.
So does that take you setting aside your pride?
Yeah, absolutely.
What makes a guy set aside his pride?
Love. I mean, like,
Aw.
love's powerful,
Yeah.
you know? I love hard. That's just how I am. You know, and Joanna and I have talked about, like, you know, in the future, like, when we want to potentially get engaged in the next couple of years, right? And it's like, sometimes I think mentally, you know, for me, it's like, if I'm gonna, like, I told her, I was like, if I'm gonna start dating you officially, like, just know that, like, I'm thinking about marriage down the line. Like, I'm not gonna start dating you just to, like, feel it out for the third time for a year and then be like,
Yeah.
this, you know? It's like, I'm gonna give it my all and, like, be in this for the long run. So.
Yeah. So what does it take for a guy to get to that point? Because there's so many guys, and to answer your question earlier, like, age does not make a difference. It really doesn't. I fully believe
You
that.
said I've been pimping all around the world.
For real, though.
Okay.
I mean, I've dated guys 15 years older than me, 10 years older than me.
Oh, she was looking for a
too
shug.
younger.
Okay.
I've dated a guy 2 or 3 years younger than me. Like, I'm telling you, I've tried it all, and it makes no difference. Guys grow up, people grow up when they want to.
On their own timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
So
true.
what is it for men that makes them go from just wanting to date around the fun and games to what you just said of, like, if we're dating, it's to work toward marriage?
So your question is, like, is it one specific thing, or, like, what
Yeah.
changes within a person to, like,
Jeremy Jensen phrased
that
it
point?
as, like, your taxi cab light has to come on.
Yeah.
What makes the taxi cab light come on?
Yeah. I would say, like, general premise, like, developing selflessness. I mean, we're all, as humans, naturally selfish, but, like, putting someone else before you in a way. But, like, if to your question, like, what's the one thing that, like, makes a guy grow the up? Like, I don't know if there's, like, one set thing. It's like, I guess it's got to be, like, I mean, to Jeremy's point, like, a mindset shift. But, like,
Yeah.
what triggers that? Yeah, I don't know. Being self-aware with, like, one's inner thoughts of, like, self, past, present, and future, and, like, where they want to be with their partner and, you know, down the line.
Do you think, like, most guys have to be in a certain place in life before that, like, taxi cab light's going to turn on? Like, financially have to be a certain way, you know, living situation a certain way? Like, is that the way all of us brains work? Because I definitely hear that from guys. Like, well, I have to be making a certain amount of money, or, like, I'm not where you are yet, so, like, I'm not going to be able to satisfy. I'm going to disappoint you because, like, I'm just not where you are. And, like, I think that's bull. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe that's really the way men are wired.
I don't know if that's, like, a thought that, like, men specifically have, but it seems to inadvertently kind of work out that way a little bit, at least from my perspective, right? Like, my life's gotten together. I mean, like, I'm making the most money that I've ever made. Like, I'm in a lot better shape, not the best shape I've ever been in, but a lot better shape than I was in a few years ago. You know, doing something I love, playing hockey all the time. Like, the stars are aligning, and I think that's a big component of my relationship. But, like, do you have to be at, like, a certain point financially? Yes and no, honestly, in my opinion, because women women like nice things. Women want to be supported, right? Like, want to go out on dates and whatnot. Like, a few years ago, would it have been harder having a girlfriend than it is now when I'm making a lot more money? Probably, you know? Unless you're with, and Joanna and I have talked about this, like, when you're in a relationship and like building a future, like, obviously, like, when we have kids down the line, like, we're going to make sacrifices, like, for them and financially to, like, build for the future. But, like, I've also been transparent with her, like, hey, like, we have a lot of friends, we love going out, we love eating good food, we love nice things, we love spoiling each other, but I'm like, we're going to have to deter from that just a little bit and make sacrifices, because if we keep the lifestyle that we've known for so long, you know, while we were single, like,
you're not gonna be able to build.
Yeah, you know,
For the
it's gonna be
future,
it's gonna be super tough to build a future.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that, and it would definitely make it more intimidating if you're a man and you're not there yet to like where you want to be, or up to this level that you think the girl that you're seeing is at. But is that just pride? Because if she loves you, she loves you.
Yeah.
You know, if she wants to be with you, she wants to be with you.
It's true. I will say though, like, if a guy is feeling that way, like, I've had some friends express to me recently that I haven't been seeing as often as like I usually do. Some that I play hockey with, and you know, I was just like, hey, like, one of my buddies, I reached out to him. I was like, dude, like, why aren't you playing hockey? Like, I miss you. Like, I haven't seen you in a while. And he was like, dude, like, honestly, and he's in a relationship. He's like, honestly, I'm not where I want to be in life, and it's like super bothersome to me. And I think part of it is like his girlfriend's super successful. And so, you know, I think he's starting to realize, he's a few years younger, but like I think he's starting to realize that like he's got to make some sacrifice. So like, you know, we play hockey games super late.
Yeah.
So, you know, your game's at 10 o'clock. You're out of there about like 12:30. You have adrenaline, especially if you drink a Celsius before a pre-workout and creatine like I do. You know, it's like last night I played. I was up till 3 a.m. last night.
Yeah.
You know, felt like this morning. You know, I think he was kind of getting tired of that. So he's taken away from something he loves temporarily, right? Making a sacrifice to better his future professionally and personally, and probably in his relationship too.
Yeah. How do you think men view, is there like a difference in how they respect or view a woman who like wants to change or help him grow, however we want to phrase it, versus the girl that's like
just like a yes woman, just a yes woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a level of respect. It takes balls.
Respect for the first one? The one who wants to change him?
Yeah, I think if I understood the question correctly.
Yeah. I'm curious because like if you start dating, let's say you started dating Joanna, which really is kind of what happened, and you know, she says no, rejects you, turns you down because you need to change XYZ and you're not doing it. Versus someone who just sticks around, puts up with your bullshit. Like, I'm curious, because I think the instinct would be, yeah, you respect the one who turns you down more because she seems to have more standards. But at the same time, that's also the one that you're more afraid of, right? She's the harder choice of the two.
Yeah. I mean, I think, this is my opinion, if you're in like a yes man, yes woman type of relationship, y'all are probably going to end up getting divorced. Like,
yeah.
You know, because if there's certain things that y'all nitpick about, or maybe not, just act like everything's okay, and like deep down it really freaking bothers you, like you're probably going to blow up at some point, you know? But no, I think like, especially when you're in a relationship, yeah, it takes cojones from the woman to be like, hey, like I love and care about this person enough, and our relationship, our dynamic, and our future, like I need to pipe up and convey how I feel.
Yeah.
Because if not, you know, again, it's going to build up, and then, you know, and we all react on emotion, you know? So it's like if something builds up, probably going to lead to an argument, and then, you know, who knows what happens from
So
there.
what would you say to the women if they say, like, they draw that line in the sand, if you don't change this, I'm not going to be with you. If he says, okay, and walks away, like...
His loss. His loss.
Because that's when we go into fixer mode and we're
Right.
like, no, I want to fix it. No,
Yeah.
I have to explain to you why you need to change this so that you can be with me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think to your, like, and we touched on it a little bit, like you know you're a fixer, right? So it's like for you, maybe you struggle with like, okay, when do I start the fixing when do I get to work? When do I start the fixing process?
Yeah.
Like, do I do this when we're talking? Like, I think the guy's going to be less receptive if you do that, like, probably in the talking phase than once you've, like, established a relationship. But, and I think this is maybe what you're looking for, like, say you're on a date and, like, you say to a guy, like, hey, these are, like, my non-negotiables, right? And he, like, obviously he can say yes, but, like, maybe provide examples of, like, how he already does this, you know, like, showing, like, accountability, right? But again, I think part of it is also, like, unfortunately, like, being vulnerable and taking a leap of faith and, like, okay, like, I see enough positive in this person to give it a shot,
Yeah,
right?
see it through.
And then go into fixer mode. Start calling you Bob the Builder.
For
you
real,
know?
though.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we all, us men, I think we like being coached a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you?
to an extent. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm not perfect. Pretty damn close, but I know I'm not perfect. Like, I know there's things that I don't know, and that's part of a relationship, finding them out
Yeah.
together and learning together.
I think it's definitely pride for guys and maybe just people in general, because I don't know, it's a kind of how you were saying your empathy is like a blessing and a curse for you. For me, it's like the fixer, because in my close circle, like friends that I've had forever, like my closest girlfriends, like basically if you're gonna be in my close inner circle, your life is going to get better. Like that's
She said, I know what I bring to the table.
but I'm dead serious. Like, I will bring references to that. Like, that is part of my purpose.
She brings receipts.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yes, I do have receipts, actually. But for real, that's part of my purpose. Like, I'm not good at everything, but I'm good at that. Like, helping other people reach their full potential and bettering them. And and that it comes out in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it is tough love of like, yeah, well, you know, you need to change that. You don't like the way you look. Why aren't you working out today? And sometimes it's like, you know, in very deep emotional talks, helping people figure out what they're really feeling and understand what they're feeling and what their wants are, and like encouraging people to feel confident to achieve their goals, or, you know, and modeling by leading by example, like going for what my dreams are, you know, randomly starting a podcast because I believe that I can, encourages the people around me that they can do the things that seem hard, or that they were too embarrassed to try to do. And I think with guys, I don't know, it's maybe not received as well, like if it breeds like insecurity in them or something, but that's not the intention. It's like, you know, this is my gift. I'm trying to share it with you. I'm not trying to make you feel shitty. Like, I'm showing you where you need to change because you're going to feel so much better when you do.
Facts.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's hard, and that's a hard dynamic to bring to relationships. Especially when you're the female, and like, again, I'm not good at everything, but there are some things that I'm like, yeah, I'm good at this, and like, I'm very disciplined. Very just on top of my game in life. And so for a guy to see that and be like, oh, like, I'm gonna have to do more than her. Like, that's tough. And I don't want to make people feel like I'm gonna take you on as a project, or I'm gonna change you because you're not good enough. That's not what it is. It's just like, I just brought you into the circle, so this is what's happening, you know?
You brought them into the circle. It's time for them to figure out the circumference in more ways than one.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you said I'm on top of my game, if you would have said that in a Meg the Stallion voice, I'm at the top of my game, that would have been a moment.
That's all you. You got the references,
Yeah.
not me.
Ad libs for days. Like
But does what I'm saying make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I think that's the case for a lot of women. I think that's part of being a woman. I mean, I'm sure Joanna's that way. I'm sure she has elevated you just by existing in your life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So what do you say to the men who like don't receive that well? Like, there's a lot of guys who are just like, oh, I just want her to be my piece. Like, you know, they don't want to have to do the work.
Yeah. What would I say to them?
Yes.
You're asking me to buck up, huh?
Yeah.
She said, act like a hockey player, Matt. Act tough. I mean, like, put your pride to the side. Like, realize early and often what you want for the future and that you're not going to get there by yourself. Mm-hmm. If you were, you'd probably be God, you know, or close to it. And I'm not talking about Drake, but he is the on-earth version of Jesus Christ.
Oh, I know you weren't a fan of the halftime
It was
shade?
It was okay. It was okay. Don't come for my man like that, Kendrick. But I joked that I should sleep in I have a Take Care hoodie from the Take Care album, 2011.
Yeah.
And I was like joking with my friends. I was like, I should sleep in this tonight, just like to protect myself from no.
I did go to the Drake concert. This was like, it was here when he brought out Travis Scott. I don't know if you were at that.
Was that Drake and Migos?
Yes.
Yes. I was there the night before when he didn't bring out Travis Scott. So thank you for rubbing that in.
It was
for sicko
I have
mode.
videos I'll send you.
For sicko
it was
mode.
A good,
yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was really good.
But no, I would tell the guys, like, you know, what I said before, but like, be open-minded, be empathetic, be coachable, and like being in a relationship is a team effort. Like, if you love that person or like are, you know, in the talking phase and are working up to that, like, you should want what they want and vice versa, you know? It's not easy putting pride to the side, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And necessary things aren't always easy, right? And it's just grow a pair.
Yeah, for real.
Grow a pair of cojones, like,
yeah.
you know, teamwork makes the dream work. That's such a cliche saying, but it's so true, you know? Power couples are power couples for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, obviously some of them just because they have a ton of money, like celebrities.
Yeah,
but
but also you don't achieve that level of success by not wanting to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to.
Got to build each other up.
That's huge. I was listening to. Do you know who Andy Frisella is?
Mm-mm.
Do you know First Form Supplements Company?
Mm-mm.
Well, anyway, he's a big like fitness guy. First Form is a big supplement company. He's the owner of that, and he also has a huge podcast called Real AF. But
I think I've heard of that.
He talks a lot of shit, and he talks a lot about politics.
Oh.
But he's really funny, and he also talks a lot about business. He has like different segments on his show, so he talks a lot of like very motivational. And he was saying something today. I'll try to clip it in, but he was like, if you're someone who, like, if there's something about your life that you want to change, or about yourself, or like something that you're unhappy with, if you don't wake up every single day just with the sole motivation to fix that and change that, then like you're disgusting to me. Like, what, and these are not his exact words. I'm going to clip in exactly what he said. But he's just like, what are you doing? Like, you know, he goes, it's like you stuck your face in a pile of dog shit and you're just sniffing it in. You just keep breathing it in. Like, why would you not use every cell of your being to try to like better your life and like change what it is that you're unhappy with?
Yeah.
If you look around at your life and you're like, fuck, dude, this ain't what I want. How can you not wake up every single day, and aggressively try to improve that? I do not understand that. I can't be around people like that. I can't work with people like that. I can't talk to people like that, which is pretty much why I'm a hermit. This is your life. How can you wake up every day and just accept your life and all the things that you don't like about it and not go hard to change that? I do not align with that at all. When I even get a flavor of it or a scent of it or a taste of it, it makes me furious. I can't stand it, dude.
I think I share that same sentiment, which is why I'm always kind of like, all right, so let's get to work. Let's get to fixing. You got trauma? Let's handle that. Like, let's go see this person. Like, you got back problems? Let's go to acupuncture. Like, I'm just like,
You're very proactive minded.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot for some people, you know? We're all different. It takes a lot for some people. But like, to your point, like I work from home, right? My first meeting's at 8:30. Do I do it more often than I should? Like, do I roll out of bed at like 8:28? You know, it's like those reels you see where it's like 8:28 snoring, and then 8:29 like bumping like trap rap music, and then 8:30, hey, my name's Curtis. Glad to see you all. You know, it's like, but yeah, I mean, there's some days where I know, like, do I get all the work? None of us get all the work we need to get done in a work day. Let's be real.
Of course, yeah.
So it's like, are there days where I know I need to wake up at like 6 or 7 to get shit done? It's like, yeah, and it's like, force myself, probably take a cold shower to wake up, probably eat breakfast, have coffee before work, rather than, at 10 a.m. like I do a lot of days for having breakfast and eating coffee. But yeah, it's being proactive is mindset. Like it's like I said earlier, perspective's reality. I mean, it's kind of the premise of a lot of what we talked about today. Like, like, is she bitching at me or is she trying to make me better?
Right.
Honestly, how do you look at it?
Yeah, I feel like that is kind of the takeaway, because it's like, I feel like women wanting to change men, or just in general, like, let's generalize it. People trying to change each other gets this like negative stigma. Yeah, but it's like, no, that's what we should be doing. Like, that's why we're on Earth. Like, we're trying to, are you just trying to stay the same?
Yep. And there's a book actually, so like I work at a big corporate tech company, and every year, beginning of the year, a lot of change. And it's hard to adapt to, like it takes time to adapt to. And there's a book they actually recommended to read, one of our VPs, called Who Ate My Cheese?
Okay.
So that's a book that I am going to be ordering soon.
That was not what I was expecting. It's been some like inspiring title.
Yeah. Well, I told Joanna the name of the book. She's like, I think I have it. And we looked like through like 20 boxes in her garage and we couldn't find it. We found the second book to it. She's like, I think I gave it to a coworker to read. But yeah, Who Ate My Cheese apparently will change your mindset on adapting to change, whether it's
I'll link it.
Personally or professionally. Lately, it's been professionally for me because
I love that.
It's been wild to start the year.
There's a saying that a man who isn't ready will get ready for the woman that he wants.
I agree.
You agree with that?
100%.
That pisses me off.
Why?
Because, like, then it makes
Is this the truth?
It feels like, why is he gonna grow up and get ready for one person and not the other? Or why not just stay ready? Or
like, why, this part of you, like, why isn't he gonna just do it for himself?
Yeah.
Like, rather than, obviously for another person?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, in an ideal world, he would do it for himself and be ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if you use dating profiles, but I think you should put like a very like stern bio. Like,
I don't, but that's part of the reason why, because I think the bios are stupid.
Yeah, you'd be fierce. You'd be fierce.
I don't think anybody would swipe if I was actually honest. Yeah. Not swipe right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's only so much, it's up, but like there's only so much internal motivation, I think, like at least for a guy, like of wanting to better themselves. Like we need women.
Yeah, exactly.
We need You know, I think that's why relationships were invented back in AD, BC, you know, way back when.
Yeah, back Adam and Eve, I guess.
Yeah, back in the golden apple days. But yeah, I mean, we need someone to lean on and to help us better ourselves and grow. In an ideal world, the guy would be ready, and you know, but
Yeah.
it's not always the case. But he's got to want to be coachable.
Yeah.
Good. Appreciate the time.
That's it. That's what he said.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time.
Thank you.